Hey there, welcome back to The Magic in the Music. I'm Jen. Well, it's that time of year again. No, I'm not talking about that time of year where they put out holiday decorations way too early. I'm talking about the time of year when Disney Vacation Club releases its proposed dues for the following calendar year. We have just gotten our first glimpse at the proposed 2023 DVC dues. So what are DVC dues? Well, these are often referred to as maintenance fees, and the terms dues and maintenance fees will be used interchangeably, and I might even do that. I mean the same thing when I say that. So these maintenance fees or dues are charged each calendar year to all DVC members. They pay for taxes, maintenance costs. If you have a renovation going on, it will pay for that. And the biggest expense is actually the labor cost to operate the resorts themselves. DVC members pay these dues on a per point basis. So if you own 100 points of a certain contract, whatever the per point cost is, you will be charged that amount for each of your 1 points. So if you had, for example, Animal Kingdom Lodge, and you have a 100-point contract, and this year that is $824 per point, then you would be paying $824 for the calendar year for the use of those points and the maintenance of those points. These dues are assessed at the beginning of each calendar year, so the 2023 dues will be assessed coming up at the start of 2023, and members have the option of paying them off monthly if they choose. The full amount of your dues will be divided into the 12 months, and you can make monthly payments or you can pay it in a lump sum at the beginning of the year. We used to pay ours in a lump sum, and then we realized that, hey, why would we give them our money any earlier than we have to? There is no penalty or fee for waiting and paying them monthly. And so we figure we may as well keep our money longer, but do whatever works best for you. You have a couple of options, which is great. So let's take a look at the proposed dues for 2023. So you can see here, this is the alphabetical list of all the resorts. The only one that's not listed here is Vero Beach. If you bought before, I think it's like October 1st, 1996 or something, way early on that one, you have like a subsidized kind of situation. It's a lower dues amount, but most people would have this normal amount. So I just left that there. I didn't add the other one in. You'll notice here we also have Aulani and Aulani subsidized. If you have a subsidized contract, you will know it. If you haven't heard anything about your Aulani contract being subsidized, then it's not subsidized. So you just go off of the normal amount right here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take a look here at the dues sorted by the percentage changed. So we're going to switch to a different view and see which resorts fared better and which fared worse in terms of change for this year. And remember, this can vary from year to year. Some resorts will see a big increase one year and a smaller increase another year. So let's go see how they did this year. You can see that I've color-coded these into some different categories, red, orange, yellow, and green, based upon the amount that they have increased. So this top category here is a Beach Club, Vero Beach, Polynesian, Grand Californian, and Saratoga Springs. These are all in the 7 or 8% increase range. So that is a fairly high increase. We typically don't see increases quite that high on DVC dues. The next category is going to be the 5 or 6% range increase, and that is going to be Animal Kingdom, Hilton Head, Old Key West, Boardwalk, Aulani, and Aulani subsidized. So those are going to range from 5.4% increase up to a 6.96% increase. And I would say this probably 5% is maybe a little bit more average kind of increase between like all of the resorts. That might be more what you'd expect to see in a typical year. Here we have, I've given a yellow marking that it's sort of the okay or more desirable category. 4% increased category, we have Bay Lake Tower, Grand Floridian, Boulder Ridge, and Copper Creek. So that's looking a lot more favorable, and that's kind of around 5 is like what I would hope to see on a normal year. And then I gave a special green category to Riviera because it only saw a 1.44% increase. It only went up by 12 cents. So that's pretty awesome increase. Now, I just do have to mention about Riviera, and we actually are Riviera owners ourselves. There are a lot of Riviera haters. And when it first opened, the dues were maybe, I'm guessing like around $8.20 or so. I can't really remember. And at the time, those were kind of higher. And people were saying, oh, no, see, Riviera's dues are going to be ridiculous and you should never buy at Riviera. It's going to be terrible. And some of us were saying, no, we think they sent them higher so that to protect themselves for, like, they don't want to undercut them and then not have enough funds. So we thought they set them higher and then they were going to kind of float them until they matched up in the right place to be able to meet the needs of the resort. Well, that seems to be exactly what they've done, because since Riviera has opened, they have had either a very, very minimal dues increase, or I think there was even one year where they had like a teeny tiny decrease in dues, which is kind of unheard of. That doesn't normally happen. So if you are interested in purchasing Riviera, that is a little indicator that they're kind of floating that one to get it to be in the right place. So no, Riviera no longer has ridiculous dues, though it kind of did initially in the beginning. They were high for a couple of years, but everything else has floated up to meet it. And now we are going to be, presumably going forward, Riviera's dues have kind of normalized. Next, let's take a look at the actual dollar amounts and see which resorts have the most expensive dues and which are the best deal. Okay, so here's our list based upon the actual dollar amount. And so you can see I've color coded these again to make it easier to read. The very top of the list is going to be the Alani subsidized, which, you know, it's only $687 per point. Again, I put an asterisk next to this one because that's not normally available. Yeah, you could buy a contract that has subsidized dues, but that's not the norm. So, you know, I would basically push that one aside and say, ignore that one. Moving on, we have the category with the lowest grouping of dues, and that's going to be Grand Floridian, Bay Lake Tower, Saratoga Springs, Copper Creek, and Polynesian. These are in the range of $733 up to $795. This is a pretty sweet spot to be in. You can see some real great options in here. Grand Floridian currently being sold actively as a new resort direct from Disney Vacation Club. So you can see right now their dues are looking really good. That seems like a good buy right there. Bay Lake Tower has traditionally been one of the best values in terms of Disney Vacation Club, and those dues have consistently stayed low. A lot of people speculate that it's the style of the resort that makes it kind of tend to have lower maintenance fees. That may be the case. Go ahead and comment below. Let me know why you think Bay Lake Tower has historically had lower dues. We've also got Saratoga Springs in here, and that's nice because their dues went up a little bit around the time they had their refurbishment, and it seems to kind of have settled back down, which is great to see. We've got Copper Creek, also a newer resort, so not high fees there. And then Polynesian, which again is actually had a refurbishment, and so it's surprising to see those have not come up too high. Moving down the list, we have the next grouping, and this is in the $8 range, $8 to $9. We have Grand Californian Beach Club, Riviera, Boulder Ridge, Boardwalk, and Animal Kingdom. And so Grand Californian has historically had pretty low dues. They've just topped over $8 at $804 per point. And then you can see we just go up from there. Boulder Ridge is getting a refurbishment right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if the dues were a little higher for that, just because that can incur some costs as you are working on that refurbishment. Theoretically, they're built into the dues projections, but sometimes they have to project for additional labor costs or other things like that that they don't anticipate. And then, of course, Animal Kingdom Lodge. Now, we are owners at Animal Kingdom, and it is never cheap at Animal Kingdom Villas. And there's a really big, obvious reason for this. There's a savanna at the resort. We have to pay to maintain and keep animals, and that's part of the dues that we pay for here at Animal Kingdom Villas. And so if I am asked to pay $881 per point to have points at a place where they are having, baby zebras or giraffes, or, they're breeding wildlife, or they're, taking care of animals, or these animals are serving important purposes in terms of education and outreach. I mean, yeah, I'm willing to pay that. I'm happy to pay that. And I'm happy to pay for the amazing experience we get as guests at Animal Kingdom Villas. So sure, let's pay for that. That is certainly within reason for me. Now, if you don't value that really highly, then maybe Animal Kingdom Lodge isn't the best fit for you. Our final group here, I've put them in red. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Aulani, Old Key West, Hilton Head, and Vero Beach. Now, I want to point out something about this grouping, and this is the $9 and up grouping. 3 of these 4 resorts are located at beach locations. They are on the water at the beach. Now, Old Key West is not, and I have to say I'm surprised to see Old Key West on this list so high, the dues being so high. They had a renovation a few years back, but I don't really see an obvious reason why Old Key West would be this high on the list, but you know, they made that decision to do it. But as for the others, Aulani, Hilton Head, and Vero Beach, they have a lot of expenses around their locations. They are on the ocean. They're at the beach. And so when you have storms come through and different things like that, of course, we've had hurricanes this year, and that adds to the costs that they have to deal with. Their insurance costs, their cleanup, replacement, maintenance, all of those things go up when we're dealing with, weather things. And so that certainly is the case with these resorts. So that's another reason to be very, very cautious about taking on, especially Hilton Head and Vero Beach, because a lot of people look at those and they say, well, the cost of these points is so much lower. Why don't I just buy these and then use them over at Disney World? Well, that's why, because you're going to be paying $10.73 per point, or you're going to be paying $12.85 per point for those points. So even though you might have paid less on your initial buy-in, over time, it actually is going to overtake the cost of some of these more economically priced resorts. For example, Bay Lake Tower or Saratoga Springs or something, or even Grand Floridian. So another thing I want to mention about DVC dues is that some members will say, well, but you have to consider the cost of staying at the resort. So an example that we might give is Saratoga Springs versus Grand Floridian. And someone might say, well, if you stay at Saratoga Springs, it takes fewer points to stay there than it does to stay a night at Grand Floridian. And that's true. And they might argue with that, well, the per point dues might be lower at Grand Floridian, but you have to use more points to stay there. Yes, that may be the case. So it's really a matter of your perspective and, what you want to do with those points. So that's another thing as well. So you might, if you want to stay at Hilton Head or you want to stay at Vero Beach, then you got to buy there. You want to have points there. It makes sense to pay for that. And also those rooms are not very expensive at those resorts. However, you just kind of have to think about your situation and kind of weigh those things out, which one is going to be the best fit for you. Tell us in the comments below what you think about these 2023 proposed DVC dues. How is this going to impact you? How much of an increase in dues are you going to be looking at? We would love to hear from you in the comments below. If you'd like to get the most out of your Disney Vacation Club membership, check out this playlist right up here. We also think you're going to love this video right here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Bye.